Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to my channel. My name is Catherine and I tell true stories. Today I'm going to tell you stories about African roommates from hell. African roommates from hell. Now these are the stories given to me by some fellow Africans who have been unfortunate to have a shared room with their workmates or just friends. So these are from different people. And so they will be divided into sleep deprivers, those who will not to sleep in peace. Past midnight eaters, those who will wait until midnight and start eating. Hygiene, those who hygiene is not in their vocabulary. Bullies, those who are self-centered, as in they think they're sleeping alone, they're alone in the room. And boundary breakers plus competitors. Now, when most of the people go to study abroad or they go to work abroad, most of the beginners normally have to share a room as they sort out their accommodation issues. Maybe later on they'll get their own accommodation, or alternatively they might stick there forever. You never know until they go. Some opt to share accommodation just for the sake of saving up, so that when they go back to their country, they will retire very happily than spending all the money in the foreign countries and having their own accommodation, which is not even permanent. It's just a passing cloud, something like that. Now, I will start with the story of the sleep depriver, not depriver, the sleep depriver roommate. Now, these are the roommates who will not let their roommate sleep in peace. Now, there was these two Kenyans sharing a bedroom. Ladies mostly, they love sharing for the sake of security or something. And they had different shifts, but one of them seemed like she never. Let's call her Rose, and we'll call one Rose, and we'll call one Petals. The Petals had a very early shift. Rose had a late shift. So Rose was the one depriving Petals of sleep. Whenever Petals will finish, and even sometimes they will finish duty at the same time, Petals will come do her browsing, and Rose was also doing her, browsing. That time that Petals is doing her browsing, let's say this is around 11 p.m. Rose has just finished duty, so she'll come home, do a bit of browsing, then sleep. Pet Rose, on the other hand, was also doing the same, but she'd come home earlier. And so what will happen is Rose, the moment Petals will now enter her bed to start sleeping, is when Rose's activities will now start. It felt like a night runner has been locked up in the room, and the energy just comes up when people start to sleep. And since there is no place to run, all the activities have to happen when Petals is now sleeping. This was very tough for Rose, Petals rather. Rose will suddenly start opening cupboards and banging them. Rose will suddenly start opening doors and banging them. Rose will suddenly start turning cups up. You know, all those sorts of noises that will really interfere with somebody's sleep. And Rose will switch on the lights. It looked like a floodlight, the whole room. Yet there is a bedside lamp that they're supposed to use. Rose will start now her conversations on the phone. When somebody is sleeping, you might think that you're whispering, but in reality, the person who's sleeping feels like you're really talking loudly even if you're trying to whisper. Petals will hear Rose talking now on the phone. And Petal will wonder, all this time that she was awake, why on earth wasn't Rose doing all these activities activities. Why on earth wasn't she doing all these activities when Petals is still awake? Things like that. These are the sleep deprivers. And all these activities will go on until like 5 a.m. when now she had to sleep and Rose Petals was almost waking up. So you can imagine, Petals has been going through all these commotions of Rose, and when Rose is ready to sleep is when Petals is about to wake up. According to Petals, it was like traveling in a bus. Having a night travel in a bus, how you're struggling to sleep, but you can. So she will wake up feeling that she'd been traveling the whole night in a moving vehicle. And there Rose was sleeping very peacefully. She was gonna wake up very late, you know. All these things could be sorted out through dialogue. But when some people have an ego, it's very hard to dialogue with them because they will think they're being attacked or criticized, even if it's spoken in the most politest way. So Petals had to endure all this shit. Then there was another one, trumpet player. This one was a guy, African guy, also sharing a room with another African guy. See, the moment one of the guys was about to sleep, we call him Anthony. When Anthony was about to sleep, is when Lucas will now start playing his trumpet. He was a music enthusiast, instrument player, and the moment Anthony was about to sleep, Lucas will now start playing his musical instrument. Mark you, it's not a soothing music to make Anthony sleep. It was disrupting because he was learning to play the instrument. And so Anthony was wondering, all this time I was awake, why on earth wouldn't you play this instrument? Damn. And then there are the food eaters. The food eaters. Come time for people to sleep is when now they start munching all their crunchy substance, all their crunchy foods like crisps, anything that makes noises is when they start now cooking. Anything that is smelly, now they start cooking in the room. You can imagine. You're sleeping and suddenly you're woken up by a strong smell of garlic or spices. You know, a room is not supposed to actually smell of food, but here you are. You have to walk into a pungent smell of garlic. That was These are some of the sleep deprivers in Africa from Africa that people had. Now, that was sleep deprivers. These are the roommates from hell. Remember what I'm talking about? Roommates from hell. A second group of roommates from hell was the hygiene. Hygiene, you know. These people going abroad normally don't have a choice to choose roommates. Otherwise, everybody will be very peaceful. And it's not like you're married because when you're married, you will see these signs when you're dating and decide whether you're going to marry this person or not. So this is a person who is put in your room. You're not married. You never known the person. You will discover the habits once they are staying with you. Wow! You can imagine. Imagine. So these hygiene deprivers, people have stayed with people who don't even shower. Imagine Christopher had a roommate called Richard. Christopher had a roommate called Richard. Richard was very hygienic, but Christopher was hell. Water and him were not friends. So whenever Richard would spend time in the shower, Christopher would complain, "Man, you're wasting my time. I need to shower." And Richard would ask him, "Why do you need to shower? And you're always stinking." So Christopher will go into the shower and show Richard how to take a short shower, like Show him you don't need to waste time in the shower, you know. A shower can be done in 2 seconds. And one, he will go into the shower. 1, 2, 3 seconds, he is out. And Richard will ask him, how come you did your shower so fast? And Christopher will tell him, to show you how fast a shower can be taken. You don't have to waste time. And the guy will wake up stinking, stinking like onions, you know. When somebody's sweating so heavily, you have the smell of onions. I don't know why. Onions. So unfortunately, Richard and Christopher's room had a smell of onions because of the sweat. The guy doesn't like to shower. The guy doesn't know how to clean a room. I mean, he will pour a liquid and just walk over it like it's part of the flow. Wow. Those are the hygiene issues for you. And then we have the bullied, the self-centered, bullies and self-centered. Clara had a roommate called Lillian. Clara couldn't stand the coldness of the AC, and Lillian could not stand the heat. So Clara used to hide the AC in her underwears to avoid this fight of on and off, on and off, on and off of the AC in fighting for the appropriate temperature. Something that could be sorted out very simply, like you discussed. You like cold, I like warm. We put it in the middle. Okay? If you're feeling too cold, wear your jumpers. If you're feeling too warm, well, at least if the warmness part is taken care of, because the cold one can wear a jumper, the warm one, it's in the middle. She can bear with it. So instead of discussing this with a roommate, Claire used to hide the AC in her bras. She would walk with it everywhere like a mobile phone. It was pathetic, very pathetic for the roommates. The bullies, those are the bullies. They take up, she will take up her roommate's space like the roommate never existed. You know, lack of respect for this, for the roommate spaces. She will move her things and replace with her things as if she is the only one using the space without even asking, can I move this thing here and can I move the other thing here? Poor etiquette for the bullies. You know, she will come and put her food stuff on top of her roommate's food as if she is the only one in the room. You know, because she came later on and thought the company provides, that she's living with, provides all the equipment without even asking her roommate, does this belong to you or to the company? For her, her roommate is hogging the space, so she comes and dumps her things on top of her stuff without even asking. Yet the space actually was bought personally. The shelves were bought personally by the roommate, and she didn't ask, and she was just dumping her things on top of hers without any question. Those are the room bullies. And then we heard the competitors. The competitors. And this normally comes from ladies. There were these two Kenyan ladies staying together, and one found another one there. Let's call one of them one boy and another one Mumbi. So Mumbi found Wangui already in the room. She was new and they were staying in the UK together and they had to share a room. They were housekeepers in the UK. So Mumbi realized that Wangui is copying everything she does. Like, wow, Wambui has the same taste with her. Like Wambui will buy a dress. A few days later, Mumbi has bought the same dress and she's like, whoa. She took it at first as a compliment. But then things began getting a bit weird. Wambui will buy something like an electronic, let's say a juicer, and Wambui will go and buy a bigger one. One boy, Mumbi used to make juices because she had kind of anemia, and so she needed juices with a lot of iron. But Mumbi bought, or whoever it was, the other roommate, I have mixed their name, so I'll just call her the other roommate who was copying, will go and buy a bigger item and just keep it there without using it. Then she will buy, what did she buy first? She bought a freezer, a small freezer to freeze her things. Then the other roommate went and bought a bigger fridge, but she had nothing to store inside. It was just about competition. Whatever one roommate will buy, another one will go and buy a bigger size, double or triple the size. It was a bit so embarrassing, and she began getting scared, like, what's going on here? Because she'd watched movies of such people who keep on copying everything that the roommate does. They end up becoming, it's like an obsession, or either it's envy or obsession. So she felt like maybe her life is being endangered, makes them uncomfortable, you see. So these things actually, African roommates from hell can actually sort out their things through dialogue, understanding, but unfortunately, not everybody is ready to listen to dialogue, or because they have too much egos. Another thing is common sense. Sometimes it's common sense. If you study the habits of somebody and see that this person doesn't like this and this, it's just about respect. Sharing is about compromising. It's not about yourself. It's about compromise. Common sense, which unfortunately not everybody. Common sense is not common. So if you enjoy my video, like, share, and subscribe. Ciao.